And so the 24-25 Premier League season has now officially ended. And I'm going to be picking my ultimate Premier League 11. There's not going to be any rules. There's not going to be any caveats. It's just going to be going about trying to pick the best 11 players in their position to make a combined 11. And we're going to start off in goal, and I have gone for Arsenal's David Raya. I've gone for him for several reasons. I think he's been absolutely phenomenal this season, and the stats back it up as well. He's got the 13 most clean sheets this season, level with Matt Sells. He's also got the third highest save percentage of any goalkeeper in the Premier League with 74.2%. But not only that, his claim for crosses, 13.2%. That's one of the highest in all of Europe, and he often gets really good for his side, so makes that side even more impressive. But not only his shot stopping, his coming of crosses, I think also the fact that modern goalkeepers, especially playing for a team like Arsenal, you have to be really good in the build-up. He's constantly involved in build-up, and not only that, he's made more defensive actions outside of his penalty area than any other goalkeeper in the Premier League with 66 this season. For me, he's been phenomenal. It was a very close one between him and Matt Sells. However, not only for his shot stopping and then coming for crosses, I think David Raya's build-up play and his involvement in Arsenal's attacking third as well, in attacking play, I think what made him, for me, the best goalkeeper in the league this season. And at right back, there were a couple of options. You had Jurgen Timber at Arsenal, you had Ole Aina at Nottingham Forest. However, I've decided to go for Crystal Palace's Daniel Munoz. At right wing back, you've seen him all season. He's been constantly up and down, bombing up and down, great in attack, great in defence, getting 4 goals and 5 assists. And of course, who could forget his display against Manchester City in the FA Cup final? I have to say that because he's so attacking and he does catch the eye in that high position in that right wing back area, you do have to look at defensive numbers and go, is he actually that good defensively? And in fact, I think he is. He averages 3.43 tackles per 90, which is one of the highest in all of Europe's top 5 leagues. Not only that, he wins a lot of his aerial duels. I think actually as a one-on-one defender defensively, I think he's actually quite underrated because his attacking prowess is so highlighted and so shone that you actually don't recognize his defensive actions as much, and because Crystal Palace playing in back 3. But I think if he were to play in right back position, I think he would also be fantastic. For me, I think he's been the outstanding right back this season. I've loved absolutely watching him this season, and for me, he pips it a little bit over Ole Aina and Jurgen Timber. And so my centre backs, I've decided to go for Virgil van Dijk of Liverpool and Gabriel Magalhaes of Arsenal as well. Why I've decided to go for Virgil van Dijk, I think it's pretty obvious. I think if Mohamed Salah wasn't the Premier League player of the season, I think arguably you could have a very good shot at giving it to Virgil van Dijk. Captaining Liverpool, he played every single minute of Premier League football up until Liverpool officially won the Premier League, which then he finally got a rest he deserved. He got 3 goals and 1 assist so far this season, but defensively he's been an absolute ever-present but also colossal in that back line. I think it's one of those where his leadership really impacts the other players around him, but not only that, I think when you think about his passing, it's actually incredibly underrated. Yes, he's got those raking 40-yard passes to Mohamed Salah or further down the touchline on the left-hand side to a Luis Diaz or a Cody Gakpo. But actually, his ability to pass the ball into the midfield, breaking lines, is actually incredibly underrated and actually something that's very difficult to do, but he makes it look so easy. I think he's been phenomenally defensively. He's been a leader in that back line, and he's the centre-back who arguably could be player of the season, if not for one of the best players ever. So for me, Virgil van Dijk has to be at the heart of this defence. And the Sparta left centre-back is Gabriel from Arsenal, and he's only just managed to make my team, I'll be completely honest. I was really thinking of Nikola Milenkovic at Nottingham Forest. However, I thought Gabriel was so good in the 28 games that he has played this season, and unfortunately his season did end a little short. But I think in that time he was arguably Arsenal's best defender and arguably maybe even their player of the season contender. He's been that good at the back. And I think defensively, Arsenal, one of the best sides in the league this season, the best side actually, if you think about the record, 34 goals conceded from 38 games. However, in the 8 games that Gabriel hasn't been playing since his injury, Arsenal have actually conceded 9 goals from those games, so over a goal a game. So while the record has still been really good as of late, it's not been as good as when Gabriel has been there. And I think we've also seen the effect Gabriel's absence has had on William Saliba at right centre-back, because I don't think he's been as good as he has been, as we know he can be in previous season. And I think this season, I think we've seen that Gabriel is arguably just as important, if not more important, than Saliba as well. And I think also his leadership, captaining the side on occasion, I think he's been absolutely phenomenal. But not only that, in the attacking area, we know how much of a threat he is. 3 goals, 1 assist as well this season, along with Virgil van Dijk. And you could see at the beginning of the season, the set pieces, how important he was. He was almost, as crucial as a number 9 at some point, because the corners, free kicks, everything was going to his way. And for me, I think Gabriel only just makes his team, because I think any less minutes, and I don't think he would have made it, but I think I have to give it to Gabriel just because of how good he was when he was fit. At left back, I've gone for Fulham's 27-year-old Anthony Robinson, who I have been hugely impressed with this season. I think not only attacking but defensively, he's been absolutely phenomenal for Fulham this year. I think 36 times he's played this season, 10 assists, the most of any defender in the whole Premier League. You've got Mohamed Salah out in front. You've then got Jacob Murphy. Then you've got Bukayo Saka. But then you've got him joined fourth on 10 assists, Anthony Robinson. But when you think about the other players that have also got 10 assists, they're all attacking players. The likes of Mikael Damsgaard, Bruno Fernandes, Morgan Rogers. So the fact that he's been able to get this many assists from a left back is hugely impressive. And when you consider the other closest defender to him with the most assists, it's Ryan Ednuri at Wolverhampton Wanderers, who's got 7 assists, 3 less. But also Ednuri plays in the traditional left wing back role. So the fact that Robinson's got it from left back, even though he has the license to go on, is still very impressive. But not only that, similar to Munoz on the right hand side, defensively, I mean, the managers have not let them get off the hook defensively. They've still been incredibly good, averaging 2.7 tackles per 90, 1.76 interceptions, and 3.78 clearances. So going forward, phenomenal, as we all know, but also defensively, I think Andy Robertson has been great. One of Fulham's best players this season, arguably maybe the player of the season. And for me, someone who Fulham got to make sure they try and keep a hold of him in the summer. And in midfield, my first midfielder has to be Liverpool's Ryan Gravenberch. Honestly, at the start of the season, who would have thought he would have go on to have the season that he has? Not me, probably not a lot of you, probably only Arne Slot and his scouting staff, because I'll be honest, I certainly didn't see it. And I'm humble enough to say it because from this player from last season where he was in the more attacking number 8 positions, sometimes the number 10 position, trying to score, get assists, but he was kind of lanky, he wasn't quite getting there, didn't have the fine feet forward. But actually, in this more defensive midfield role, he's absolutely shone for Liverpool. And arguably, Liverpool would not have won the league if he wasn't fit and available for most of the season. And 37 times he's played, no goals, 4 assists. He's been absolutely crucial. I think the fact that we've even got a phrase for what Gravenberch does now, there's little Gravenberch turn, where sometimes there's Virgil van Dijk passing him the ball and then he picks up the ball and he's able to skip away from a man and then drive past him as well. That's in attacking sense. But defensively, his reading of the game is understanding. 2 interceptions per 90 he averages. His reading is so good for Liverpool in the defensive half. And the fact that he's been resolute, he's been ever present, and I don't think Liverpool win the league without him. Yes, Salah's been phenomenal. Yes, Van Dijk's been phenomenal. But Liverpool really needs that midfield to step up, and he absolutely has. And so after what I said about Liverpool's midfield being so crucial to them winning the Premier League, it's probably not too much of a surprise that I've also gone for Alexis McAllister alongside him. I think he's a player who's constantly an 8 out of 10 every single week, and because of that, sometimes he kind of goes under the radar. But again, I think he's arguably been more important than Ryan Gravenberch. And that just shows how good Liverpool's midfield have been, despite the fact that a lot of people didn't think it was that great going into the season, maybe needed a little bit more. 5 goals, 5 assists so far this Premier League. But I think you have to look at it as well. Look at his goal catalogue. Some of the goals he scored are absolute screamers and worldies. The one against Tottenham Hotspur a couple of weeks ago when Liverpool did win the Premier League. The one against Fulham away from home when they lost that game. I think some of the goals he scores are just absolute bangers, and that only helps you love a player even more, in my opinion. But not only that, I think he probably doesn't get as much recognition as he deserves because of the fact that he's arguably the pass before the pass sometimes. He averages 1.72 key passes per 90 and 1.37 passes into the penalty area per 90. And I think in the attacking sense, I think Arne Slot relies on them so heavily, but also defensively, I think he is so good. And you wouldn't necessarily expect it from someone of his height and his stature and his frame, but he gets stuck in and he gets his foot involved as well. In terms of being involved in the defensive actions, he's one of the best midfielders in Europe for the fact that he's arguably playing in more of a central midfield role than actually a defensive midfield role. I mean, in terms of dribblers tackle, dribblers challenge, tackles won, blocks, and passes blocked into the final defensive third. He's one of the best in Europe. But not only that, he's really good at pressing the opposition up high and winning the ball in the final third to create the attack as well. I think for me, Alexis McAllister has been so underrated this season. And the fact that he's been injured ever since Liverpool have won the Premier League, and the fact that Liverpool haven't won a game since they won the Premier League, shows to me the fact that just how important he is to this midfield going for now, and also for them going forward. And the picks between this last midfield slot was so difficult. Honestly, there were so many fantastic players who I really wanted to pick. There were the likes of the Newcastle duo and Bruno Guimaraes and also Sandro Tonali. I didn't put them in, but I really wanted to. At Chelsea, Moses Caicedo had a fantastic season. Aston Villa, Morgan Rogers. You could argue Bruno Fernandes, despite what he's done for a team so far down in the league, arguably deserves a shout. Mikael Damsgaard, when I mentioned how many assists he got this season, I think he's been incredibly underrated. So many midfielders. But in the end, the one that really spoke to me, the one I really wanted to put on my side for the best Premier League 11, I've gone for Aston Villa's Yuri Tielemans. And for the majority of the season, it's actually been a slightly different Euro team than the one you've traditionally seen. Normally, at the time with Leicester, he was always one of the more attacking midfielders. He'd always be trying to chip in with goals and assists. But this season, he's been trusted a lot more in the defensive area, sometimes even in the number 6 position. And I think it's his ability to find space and pick up balls in tight spaces and get away from a man and then create a pass and start an attack. I think which Unai Emery really values very highly. And up until his injury, which kept him out of the games in game week 35 and 36 against Bournemouth and Tottenham, it was one of those where he was starting every single game in the Premier League for Unai Emery. And when you think about Emery as a manager who, I think in my opinion, knows what team he's going to pick a couple of weeks in advance, he plans in advance, the fact that Tielemans was starting every single Premier League game up to his knock showed how important he was to the side and how important he was to that midfield. And I don't think that can be underestimated because Yuri Tielemans, they've got a lot of other options in there. They've got the likes of Onana, McGinn, Kamara. But the fact that Tielemans was ever present just shows you how much he values him in the midfield. But not only when he's picking up the ball deeper, also when he can get into those more attacking positions, we know the quality that he has. 3 goals and 7 assists this season have just shown what a quality player Tielemans has been. And yeah, like I said, I'm really disappointed that I can't include Guimaraes, Tonali, the Casados, more attacking Morgan Rogers, Bruno Fernandes, Damsgaard, etc. But I really wanted to say I think Drew Tielemans has been phenomenal this season. And it's my ultimate Premier League 11, so I've gone for Tielemans. And at right wing, I've already mentioned him several times in this video when talking about some of the Liverpool players and how they've been setting up. It is, of course, Mohamed Salah. How can you not have Mohamed Salah in this team? Obviously, 47 goal contributions this season, 29 goals, 18 assists. Absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, it has been one of a all-timer season. The fact that he's leveled Alan Shearer and Andy Cole for the most goal contributions in a single season, despite the fact that they played 42 games and not 38, is absolutely wild. The fact that I think this is his 4th golden boot since he's joined Liverpool now, the fact that he's constantly up there, he was only too short of getting the all-time record for assists, getting 18 assists behind Thierry Henry and Kevin De Bruyne, a crucial part of why Liverpool won this league. And the fact that he's averaging something like 60% of all the Liverpool goal contributions this season in the Premier League. He's been so crucial. Yes, he's thoroughly deserved the Premier League Player of the Year. He deserves all the accolades, the golden boots, everything that he's got this season. He deserves a new contract as well. And yeah, there have been some other notable, really good mentions. Like I think Jared Bowen's gone massively under the radar. Brian Mbeumo, I feel really sorry for. However, Mohamed Salah, like I said, has an all-time Premier League season, and you cannot discount him. You have to give him his credits because he's thoroughly deserved it. And yeah, he is the right winger in this team. Up front as the centre striker, I've gone for Newcastle United's Alexander Isak. I think he's been great this season. 23 goals, 6 assists, the second most goals behind Mohamed Salah, and the second most goal contributions this season, again behind Mohamed Salah. I think he's been great for Newcastle, and I think he's actually undergone some sort of aura transformation this season. I think previously everyone knew what kind of a good striker he was, but we're all kind of waiting for him to have a full season where he's fit and available, and it hasn't actually quite worked out. 34 matches played though most of the season, however, but I think this season he's really shown what a quality striker is. I think when you think about some of the best centre-backs in the league, some of the best players, the likes of the 2 at Liverpool and Virgil van Dijk, Ibrahim Konate, the 2 at Arsenal of Saliba and Gabriel, I think he's bullied them at times, and I think he's sometimes made them look like chumps, and that is not very easy to do. I think he's been absolutely phenomenal. Newcastle, I think, will be holding on to him now that they've got Champions League football, and I think he is arguably one of the best strikers in world football, and I think you could make a very good argument that he's a better all-round striker than Erling Haaland, and Erling Haaland is maybe just a better goal scorer. And if you wanted to have a debate about which you think is the better striker in general, Haaland or Isak, I think if people previously to the season would have gone, oh, it's 100% Haaland. Now I think it's very much 50-50, and I think that is a credit to him, the credit to the seasons he's had, the credit to the player he is and he looks like he could be, because he's absolutely frightening. He's electric at front. Sometimes he's able to keep the ball at his feet, and you don't even know how he's done it. I'm like, you definitely should have lost the ball, but he's just so languid yet so elegant, and he's been a joy to watch this season. For me, he absolutely has to go in up front. And finally, at left wing, I've seen a couple try and put Brian Mbeumo out on this left wing. I don't think that's fair. I mean, I know he's been phenomenal, but I don't think you can move him from right wing to left wing just because of that. I also think Morgan Rogers had a fantastic season. But I just really wanted to go for Matheus Cunha at Wolverhampton Wanderers. 15 goals, 6 assists this season, 21 attacking returns for a side who are 16th in the Premier League, who've only scored 54 goals all season. He's been involved in just under 40% of all of the team's goals. I think he's been phenomenal. And yes, he has kind of, blotted his reputation a little bit with some of his antics off the pitch, trying to cause commotion, trying to force a move, but also what he's done on the pitch, stealing glasses from coaching assistants. And yeah, people will frown on that, but I think in terms of just the football, He's been absolutely phenomenal. And especially when you think about, and I've seen this narrative forming of, oh, now the Wolves have picked up ever since the suspension. They were doing all right without him. Maybe they'll be good in the future. Who knows? I would be just a little bit wary of that, because I think, yeah, it's good when a team is playing well, they're high in confidence and know they're safe from relegation. But Matescu was doing it when that wasn't all clear. Wolves were very much looking like they could go down. They were at risk. Gary No got sacked. Victor Pereira came in, and then they went on this fantastic run. That's great. But let's not take away from the fact that when Matescu was doing it, he was the man for Wolverhampton. He's doing week in, week out, and they desperately needed someone to do it, and they were all looking towards him. And the fact that he's got his 15 goals from an XG of 8.6 just shows the quality of some of the strikes that he's had. The fact he's scoring from positions that he's not necessarily supposed to. He's been absolutely phenomenal this season. Good luck to him as if he goes to Manchester United, which it looks like he's going to do. I hope he does really well, because I love him as a player. And the fact that Wolverhampton Wanderers had a Brazilian international doing as well as he could, and the fact that he's leaving with now a release clause 62.5 million, I think he's been absolutely phenomenal in the left-sided 10 position for them for the majority of the season. But I'm going to put him out on the left-hand side. And for me, I think that he has to be part of this Premier League 11. I think he's been great for a side for where they've been. And there we have it. That is my ultimate Premier League 11 of the season. Unfortunately, I couldn't get absolutely everyone that I wanted to. I've gone for this 11. I hope I've given enough shout-outs to the players who I was trying to consider, so you're not too mad at me in the comments below. But let me know. Do you agree or disagree? And I'll see you in the next one.